encontramos aqui em frente ao Museu Histórico Português de São José e tivemos uma sorte extraordinária porque viemos nos encontrar aqui com, não só com um dos fundadores, como um ex-presidente deste Museu Histórico de São José. Sr. João Machado,
sim,
prefere esta entrevista em português ou em inglês?
Em inglês é melhor para as suas...
Ok, então podemos fazer em inglês.
Sim.
You were one of the founders of this historical Portuguese museum, is that correct?
1989 we started at San Jose State University, and then we continued it with the Portuguese Chamber of Commerce, and then in 1993 we incorporated as our own organization.
So the idea started where?
San Jose State University in the late 1980s.
Late 1980s.
Yes.
And how many people were involved at that time?
Well, generally speaking, maybe 7 or 8, but in terms of the people who really got it going, is only a few, 2 or 3.
And those 2 or 3, they're still alive today?
Well, I'm still here, and Antonino is still here, and a few other folks, yes.
That's good.
Thank God.
Then, what year was that you guys incorporated and started your own organization?
1993.
1993.
Correct.
And that's when the project started taking a hold by building what is called today the Portuguese Historical Museum.
Correct.
Tell me exactly how did that start?
Well, that's a great question. Depends on how long you want to do it. But we started in 1993. We were originally a project of the Portuguese Chamber of Commerce, but then it became clear that our project was too big. The Chamber of Commerce could not continue, so we decided, with the agreement with the Chamber of Commerce, to start our own organization. Like, we had no money, zero, nada. So we would have to, like we did with Paulson the years before, get the community interested. That's critical. Without the community input, this could not have happened. So we went to many people in the community. We had a very positive response. So initially we started doing, dinners, and chickens, and linguiça and stuff. So they got us initially started. But what was the real breakthrough is that the County of Santa Clara has a thing called County Historical Commission. And they give money for organizations that have projects about the history of Santa Clara County. So to make a very long story short, we made some proposals to this organization. Over a period of 3 years, we got about $150,000 over 3 years to start the museum. So that's how we basically started. We got the community involved, and then we got the County of Santa Clara involved. And why the Santa Clara County supported us so much is because the community talked to them. The community was talking to them. The county said, well, this community is pretty involved in this. Maybe we should look at it. And we were lucky enough to have some good proposal writers, and we got good money for 3 straight years.
Very good. And then it was decided that we were going to build a museum right here at the historical park.
Well, that's a very good question. That's a very good question. Initially, the question was, well, where are we going to have the museum? And the very first thing, and what was the museum going to look like? And so we thought, well, maybe around Portuguese, around the church or something. But that turned out to be really complicated. You'd have to buy land and all this kind of stuff. And what would be the museum to look like? The very first idea for the museum was to make a replica of a small Portuguese farm with real cows. We're going to have real cows and have milk, and we'd sell milk. Anyhow, that soon became not possible. So somebody suggested, well, why don't you go to History San Jose? Here, all these other buildings here are either actual historical buildings or replicas of historical buildings. So we said, well, that's a good idea. So we went to History San Jose here in the middle of 1993, 2003, right after we started. And they said, well, yeah, we're interested. We'd like to include the Portuguese community in the history of San Jose, very important community. So then we said, well, what are we going to do? What's the museum going to look like? And so after, it was Father Noya at the church, and one time we had a meeting with him, he said, well, why don't you do a replica of the Imperio there at Five Rivers Church? Well, I said, well, why not? Perfect. So this museum now is a replica of the Imperio that was at Five Rivers Church.
Which is now part of the IES.
Right. And actually, it's the house back of the IES Hall. The original Imperio was the house, and that's now back.
Now, to start building this thing, you took also some community involved.
Oh, way. Well, that's the secret. We did have some money, both from our resources and from the county. Even once it got going, see, it's kind of built up a what do you call it? People get interested. So even we got some money from Portugal, through organizations in Portugal. But we didn't have enough money to do this. It's really cost, to put all the costs together, was way over $500,000. Way over. But, like the Portuguese community has always done, since the early days, we had tremendous input from the community. We had sheetrockers, we had plumbers, we had electricians, we had roofers. A tremendous amount of this building was done by volunteer labor. They'd just come here and we'd set up a system where they could come here, and so hundreds of thousands of dollars volunteer labor is in this community. But even, I'll give you a story. One time, a gentleman owned Southern Lumber, which no longer exists, was only like 3 miles from here. And we're towards the end of the construction of the museum. He came in, I was here one day. He came up to me and said, Joe, I want to do something for the museum. This guy was in Portuguese. He was something else. He's an Italian guy, I think. He says, I want to donate something to the museum. I said, oh, well, thank you very much. And what he wanted to donate, he says, I'm going to, all this wood here on the floor, I'm going to donate all the finished wood for your floor. And the reason why I'm donating is because the best workers I've ever had were my Portuguese. And they were all from the island of Corfu. There you go. So that's many of the stories that we have in terms of developing the museum. This here, the plaza here, the people put it in, the Portuguese government from Terceira, they sent the guys over for 3 months. They stayed here, putting in this plaza. We got the rocks from Portugal, and again, Portuguese government paid their salaries for 3 months. We had to, put them up while they were here for 3 months.
What about these two structures?
Yeah, that was all part of the initial design.
And what do they? What's the meaning of those?
Well, the original Imperio over there in front of the church. If you look at the pictures, in fact, here one of the pictures here, if you go inside, is of the church in the 1920s. You see that the Imperio had 2 bandstands. So these are replicas of the original bandstands that were in front of the Imperio at Five Rivers Church.
Now, was there ever a question how big the museum should be?
Yes, in fact, that's one of the major questions. It was very clear early on that if we only had a 1 level, there'd be no way we could tell the story. It would just be too small. So we decided, with the okay of History San Jose, to create a basement to have more space for exhibits. And so we did that. But that more than doubled the expense of the museum, because there were a lot of you'd have to have a lot of more things from the city to improve it. For example, it has to all be waterproof. Just to waterproof the basement costs thousands and thousands of dollars. But we were able to do it now. when you go through the museum, you can see that we have two levels. This upper level, and then the basement. Without the basement, there'd be no way we could tell the story.
What was the first exhibition?
The first exhibit was about the insurance companies, the fraternal societies. At that time, there was actually 6. Now I think there's only 2. So the major exhibit was the story of the fraternals, how in the late 1800s, the most important institution in California for the Portuguese were the fraternals. They were the internet. Everything went through the fraternals at that time. Festas were created by fraternals. The halls, fraternals had a tremendous influence in building the halls. Fraternals had the insurance in case people, died or got sick. So the fraternals were the major institution up until maybe the 1930s when the United States had Social Security.
I see. So the fraternals were the first exhibit here
Yes.
at the museum.
Yes.
And then, of course, other people wanted to get involved.
Yes.
How soon did people start getting involved? When was the first time that the museum was open?
The first opening?
Yeah.
The opening was in 1997. Via Portugal, 1997. I forgot the exact date. It was like June 7th, 1997. So from the date that we incorporated in 1993 to 1997, it took us 4 years to build the museum. For example, you could look over here at both of these panels here. Each one of these people donated $250. So we have, I don't know, hundreds of people who donated. So once the ball got rolling, a lot of people wanted to be part of the museum. So these people here are part of the museum.
Did the community, after the museum was built, did the community start offering couples, pictures, and so forth to have it inside of the museum?
Oh yes, exactly. I mean, a lot of people want to be. For example, the Queen's capes. That's a story. We have very many, and when you go in there, you see our display. But it's an interesting story. When a queen, she's a queen. She's usually about 17, 18, and she's a queen for the year. And the society allows her to keep the cape, right?
Right.
So she puts it in her closet, right? And, in nice plastic and stuff. But does she ever use it again? Pretty soon, like, she's been carrying around this cape for 20 years, 30 years. She says, well, I'm like 40 or 50 now. What am I going to do with this cape? So many of them, they come to the museum. So we really appreciate these capes. They're beautiful works of art. And they're one of the mainstays in the museum. You'll go in, you see the altar, and the altar, around the altar has all the different capes. And we have so many capes, we can keep rotating them.
That's it. Now, one of the things that I have noticed here at the museum is that one of the missions that you folks always have is to really reflect the history of the Portuguese, not only our traditions, our culture, but also people that were involved in industries, and the dairies and so forth. Do you see that going on in the future?
In terms of exhibits?
Yes.
Oh, yes. We've probably had, since the museum opened, we've probably done 30, maybe 40 different exhibits. Now, they're all not hanging in the museum right now. We don't have enough space, but we do have a very good website. We have our own server in which you can go to Portuguese Museum San Jose, pull up the website. We have every exhibit that we've ever had at that website. So that's one good thing. In the future, we still got many exhibits to go in terms of telling the story of the Portuguese here in California, the Portuguese in the United States, the Portuguese of the world, Portuguese history, stuff like that. We're not done yet. There's a lot of stuff to do.
I understand that starting it was a big accomplishment. there was a lot of support from the community, etc. How do you see it today? Does the community, do you see the future being bright, or it's going to start dying down, just like pretty much everything is dying down?
Well, that's a very good question. And it's both things. It's both things. In terms of the future of having enough material to keep the museum vibrant, that's no problem. We do Via Portugal here every year, and so far, knock on wood, it's been pretty successful. But that takes a lot of work, and we've had a tremendous luck over the years to have a very good board. But I'm 78 years old, and I've been here like for 28 years. Antonino, you'll be talking to Antonino, he's a little bit younger than me, but not that much younger. So we are recruiting to make our board, younger. I mean, I'm not going to last forever. Somebody has to take up the thing. The most important thing, they have to have the alma, inside to understand, because to make the museum successful, you have to understand what it was. Like, I was born here, but my mom and dad were immigrants. I was raised on a dairy. I know how hard it is to that life. So from my point, why for me this museum is here is because I'm honoring them.
You see the new generation, the young generation doing the same, honoring their parents. Well, we hope so, right?
Yeah, these are good questions. I don't know. The cell phone has changed everything and stuff. And for example, the people that are now replacing us, I see, they are Portuguese who are like in their 50s or early 60s. They're retiring, but they still kept the interest in their culture. So they have some, well, what am I going to do? I'm retired now. So we have some of those people coming on. But it'd be really nice to have some younger folks. Although it's very hard for a younger person in this society. If you have kids, if you have a job, how much time can you give to this museum? So it's an issue.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everything that you do for the community.
Well, thank you for coming here. Thank you for taping this. Again, it's all part of getting the word out. I mean, you see what this museum is. We'd like to have even more people come here to see it. It's still amazing that we meet many people in the community who says, I didn't know there's a museum there. There you go.
There you go.
Okay, thanks.
Well, hopefully this video will expose that and have more people come.
Absolutely. The more people, the better.
Good. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Here we are again at the Portuguese Museum in downtown San Jose, here at the Kelly Park. This time with Mr. Antonino Pascual. Mr. Antonino Pascual, first of all, thank you so much for being so patient with us and allowing us to come in and do some recording to eventually show the Portuguese community and others this wonderful place called the Portuguese Historical Museum. It's my understanding that you were part of one of the founders. Tell me, how exactly did this project started in your view?
I do thank you for taking the time away from your family to be here to do this for us. We sincerely appreciate that. Different people have different objectives when they start an organization. For me, it started back in the mid-80s when I was at San Jose State University and involved with the Cabrita Cultural Center Club. And some of us shared the concern and frustration that we had of how invisible the Portuguese community was compared to other communities. And as we discussed some of those things back and forth, Dr. Aldo Silva also understood that, and we sort of discussed that one of the best ways to do that, to get more recognition and to let people know that we exist, was a museum. Because we all know that, some of us do know, that early 1900s, the majority of the dairies in Santa Clara Valley were owned by the Portuguese, and today we still have some sites like the Ranging Waters, the Suarez family, or the Communication Hills, which was the Machado family, the Zona Lake Park, which is the Albornoz family, and those are some of the areas, but compared to others. And right now nobody recognizes that. It's been forgotten in a sense. And so we felt that was the best thing to do was through a museum. But I graduated, everybody goes their own way, and it was not until back then in 1993 too, when I got involved with the Portuguese Chamber of Commerce, that I came across João Machado again. And Joe knew me because I was one of the founding members of POS. And he approached me and says, Antonino, we don't have a site that we want to build a Portuguese museum, and I want you to get involved. And I did, and the rest is history. And so my main reason for this involvement is those that came way before us, before 1800s, early 1900s. They have contributed to the mainstream of America, just like any other nationality. Yet, they work night and day, many not even had an opportunity to ever go back home and visit families. But if it is us to do something to bring alive and for the dignity of that contribution to the main development of America, if we don't do it, who else is going to?
People get forgotten.
They get forgotten. And so that was my main goal and objective, and still is today.
Very good. Now, I understand that when was the 25th anniversary of the museum, there was a wonderful celebration on Day of Portugal here at this park and in front of the museum, celebrating that 25th anniversary, and you were president of the museum at that time. Please describe exactly how that day was and how did you feel celebrating the 25th anniversary of the museum?
I think it was great. The feedback we getting from the community, we had, I remember after the mass that we had at the beginning of the celebration, starting with prayer, some of the people came and hugged me, thanking us for doing that. We had not had a mass, even though I had tried to bring mass into the festival, because being very typical Portuguese, like they do in the Azores, Madeira, Portugal, when they have a major festival, they start with prayer, typical missa campal, and then comes the social aspect the rest of the afternoon. And that was the first year that I was able to get the majority vote of the board to have that, and we have continued that, and I hope that we will continue that. But that's part of the festival. So I think we had a combination of the spirituality, and we had the cultural and the rest of the fun, the food and the folklore and everything.
Yeah. I remember you on that stage that it's usually put up around the Day of Portugal. You're doing a speech where you invited young people to get involved with the Portuguese Museum. Today, I know there's still that effort because our community continues to grow old. And my question is, are younger people getting involved in the museum, or is that still a struggle?
That is a challenge that we have. Of course, people get involved in sports and different activities. And not only us, all the organizations, including the bands, is becoming a challenge. We just have to keep on working at it, and we find that the people that sort of come and stay are on that late 40s, 50s, because they prisoned the family and children are on their way. Now they have the time to get involved. Those seem to be the ones that stay with us a little bit longer than the younger generation. Some stay. I mean, I was young at the time, but of course, like João said, we have it in our hearts. We had a reason, and we have a reason. We still believe that we want to continue to bring alive.
João Machado was the first president of this
That
one.
is correct.
Who was the second?
Second was El Dutra. El had met him on actually Portuguese Chamber of Commerce, and he came probably 2-3 years later and got involved, and then soon he became the president. And in the beginning, he did a great job, like the little kiosk that we have at History out at Plaza. He's the one who sort of initiated the newsletter that we send out every 2 or 3 times a year. Great general, somebody who I admire very much.
How long
I
was
was the vice president for him several years.
how long was he president?
I think he was about 14, 15 years.
We have a little video from Al Dutra. Was impossible for us to interview him here in the museum or on the outskirts of the museum, but the family was kind enough to send us a little video that will play on this video now.
I am Stephen Dutra. This is my father, Al Dutra. Dad was really involved with the creation and growth and involvement with the Portuguese History Museum in Kelly Park for many, many years. So we're just going to talk to him a little bit about how he got involved and what he did and what he thinks the future for the museum is. So, Dad, I understand from reading some historical data that the plan to start this started way back in 1989, and then in 1993 they got the site dedicated by the city in Kelly Park.
Yes,
And
that's very important.
right, and in 1995 was the groundbreaking. And in 1997, in June of 97, the museum opened. So what I want to know is, at what point in this did you get involved?
I was not strongly involved with those that were working with the universities and others that were efforts to develop the park, the history park.
Right. Yeah, I know there were a lot of challenges over time with the fundraising, that some money came from the city and historical societies and a lot from private donations and that sort of thing. At what point did you start getting involved? Was the building still under construction, or was it completed when you got involved? What was your...
They had completed the building. I was involved with them as just an observer. So I then started to participate, and then at a particular point they elected me as the president, and it is a 3-year period of time. But guess what happened? Once you were elected president, you couldn't get off the hook.
Oh, well, we know that's not true, because João Machado was the founding president. When it opened in 97, João Machado was the president. And so it was just a few years later, I think probably around the year 2000, that you were elected president. And then, from my best recollection, you were president for about 14 years. Is that about right? From your many years of president, was there anything you were particularly proud of?
I was proud to take a particular activity or function and establish that that became the display for the entire year?
Well, it seems to be hanging in there as an entity, and I view it as being one of the crown jewels of the history park. It's very well maintained. It has regular hours and that people can come and see the museum and learn about the history of the Portuguese in California.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, folks, I compliment all of the people that started many years before there was anything such as a history park. And they continued to work all until they had the park established, and then they started to dig the hole that ended up being the Portuguese Museum.
Well, I think I've done all I can do to try and get you to brag about yourself, and you just won't rise to the bait very much. But we're all proud of you for what you did, and I hope that our little conversation here helps people in the future understand another little piece of the history of the museum and one particular person that made a big contribution to its success.
Thank you.
After Mr. Al Dutra, you became the third president.
That's correct.
And how long were you the president?
How old I was?
How
long? I was almost 3 terms. Those days we had terms of 3 years. And we just recently moved to 2 years. So I serve 8 years as a president.
As a president. Now, you've been involved in this organization since the beginning, and you continue to be involved. You and your wife, every time that we come down here, you folks are pretty much volunteering your time on showing the museum. A lot of exhibitions have passed by the museum and continue to pass by. How many exhibitions you guys do a year? New exhibits?
We do once a year. My wife came in a little bit late too. She supported me on this and the other organizations. Thank God, always support me whatever I did. And then after she retired, and that's when she got involved when we had to close down the building due to a bug. And she got involved working with the professionals here from History San Jose, and they sort of click very nicely, and she's taking it on, and she does a great job continuing upkeeping the exhibits and doing different things.
As I learned from Mr. Joe Machado, this museum was built here on the historical park due to the city or the Historical Society of San Jose being able to provide the land and an opportunity for us to have the museum here. If the museum was to be built today, would you choose a different location or this location?
I would choose a different location simply because I could say everything belongs to us, like we have the house. Good, bad, or indifferent. The reason Joe had a good reason to bring him here, because in order for for our museum to become more visible, we need to come up into the community in general. Well, History San Jose is central San Jose, where there's different buildings, and it makes sense to be here. One reason. Second, we didn't have to buy the land. The land belongs to the city of San Jose. And in the past, the History San Jose was administered with combination of the city and History San Jose. In the last couple of years, they sort of gave the full responsibility to History San Jose, which is a non-profit organization, to administer the museum. Another advantage we have, we don't have to pay for lights, we don't have for the energy, PG&E or this. But beyond that, the expense of building and the expense of upkeeping, it's our full total responsibility.
How does the museum today raise funds to keep up the building?
We, in the beginning, we did different things. I remember I used to do that in Carrillo Cultural Center, having linguiça sangues at this Cinco de Mayo or 4th of July, or the things that we used to do all the time. And we continue, we used to continue to dinners at the IS Hall. We did it when it was a convent at the school, Violin School, Propshapins in Santa Clara. And we found out that very difficult to do that in order to get people to do a good job and to get good income. And someone, and I think maybe Joe Machado, came up with the idea to get people involved by inviting the community. And so now we have a large community that supports us. We send out 3 newsletters a year, and one of those letters is mainly to ask for help and donations from the community. And we have a very consistent group between 150 to 200 people that donate to the museum every year. And one way of say thank you is by providing a picnic once a year where they come. We have some years we have music, others don't, but we have a very nice luncheon up in the park here and have some fun on an afternoon. That's just a way of saying thank you. But that is the main way of getting funds right now.
So the museum is open on weekends for anybody that wants to come.
That is correct.
However, if you're not from the area, you can also go to the website and be able to see
That's right.
all the exhibits that.
All the information right now is right there in the website. Now people can go into PortugueseMuseum.org and they can see our museum. Nothing is like coming and seeing it here, because not only you can walk around and see what we have, but you can come here and play really in a big screen.
That's right. Mr. Antonino Pascual, thank you so much for allowing us to visit and to be to hopefully explain to the community and others about this wonderful building that I know it was built with a lot of hard work and a lot of volunteer labor from the community. And it's here today pretty much to show what the Portuguese did in the state of California and how much they have contributed for the state and the United States of America. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for taking your time again and being with us. I sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you. We're now joined by Jerry Escobar, which is the current president of the Portuguese Historical Museum. Jerry, I understand that you've been involved at this organization for a few years now. One of the main events of this organization is Day of Portugal here at the Kelly Park, which has been a wonderful event for the entire community. How do you see the museum today, and what's the plans for the future?
Today it's really a cultural hub, I'd say, for California and our community in general. And, it's just a beautiful place. It's a beautiful setting. And I think it draws people from all over the world, in fact, California. So it's a really nice anchor for our community. And I think as far as where it's going in the future, we're doing everything digitally. We have a wonderful website. We have all these exhibits on display. So we can't have everything shown here, but as these exhibits come in and come out, we then post them onto our website. So I think the big part of it is taking it from this sort of analog world, which is quite beautiful, and then putting it out digitally. Antonino and the Vivier had a lot to do with making this thing more accessible to the rest of the world.
Speaking of the digital age, do you see a lot of people logging into the website, and the analytics show that people are really interested, not only from California, but from all over the world?
Absolutely. I mean, we have hits from all over the world. And especially as we start doing things like Deep de Gaulle, that starts to get the word out. People are like, what is this Deep de Gaulle? Where is it? And then that creates interest and more traffic to our website.
I understand the Portuguese government, special on the Day of Portugal, they're always send a representative here to be part of the celebration. Have they embraced this idea of the Portuguese Museum?
But I love it. We had the ambassador of Portugal here this past week. He's based out of Washington, D.C. We also have Consul General here in San Francisco. They attend, as well as all the dignitaries from all over California come to this. So it's a very, very popular event, and they do a lot to take the information back to Lisbon, to Portugal, to spread the word that there are many Portuguese of California descent here out west. So a lot of people don't know that we exist sometimes in California, so it's nice they do that.
Now, your board is composed of how many individuals?
About 15 regular board members, 15 to 20 depending on time of the year.
And everybody has a task, right?
So we have two groups. We have a group that's sort of the board, and then we have a committee that helps put on the ball, which is broad. They don't necessarily come to all the meetings, but they're involved in helping to execute.
What are the plans for the future?
I think Jesse and Joe speak earlier, we're trying to get young members to take this on. I think that's probably one of the most important things, to have the second, third generation Portuguese Americans to take over, to bring their ideas and evolve this to the next level.
Is there a lot of participation from the young generation right now?
Not as much as we'd like. Certainly that's one of my biggest things, is every time I get up in front of a group of people, I say, if you are at all interested in our community and our culture, join us in some way, just to get it started.
Very much. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate and I wish nothing but the best to the museum. It's definitely a really good piece of history of our traditions and culture here in Silicon Valley, and deserves a space, deserves to be exposed and to be shown to not just to the Portuguese community, but to other communities around us. I appreciate everything that you guys do.
Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.